You said Ben Affleck says acting is a waste of time for his kids. Let me ask you a question. If one of the most famous actors in the world, an Oscar winner, a global celebrity, a guy whose face has been on movie posters for 3 decades, told his kids that acting is a waste of time, would that surprise you? Because that's exactly what Ben Affleck has said, at least in spirit, when talking about his children and their future. Not that acting is meaningless. Not that movies don't matter. But that chasing acting as a goal, especially for kids who grew up rich and famous, can be a dangerous illusion. And honestly, the more you sit with it, the more uncomfortable and interesting that idea becomes. Tonight, let's talk about what Ben Affleck really means, why this rubbed some people the wrong way, and what it says about fame, parenting, and the dreams we sell to kids at first glance. Affleck's comment sounds almost ungrateful. Here's a man who built his entire life through acting and filmmaking. Good Will Hunting, Argo, Batman, decades of success. So when people hear him tell his kids, don't act like acting is a real career plan, it feels hypocritical. People online immediately asked, if acting is a waste of time, why did you do it? Isn't this shutting down your kids' creativity? Isn't this just rich person arrogance? But those reactions miss something important. Affleck isn't talking as an actor. He's talking as a father. And that changes everything. Here's the truth most Hollywood success stories leave out. Acting is not a meritocracy. For every Ben Affleck, there are thousands of trained actors waiting tables. Talented performers who never get a callback. People who give up their 20s, 30s, and sometimes their entire sense of self chasing roles that never come. And Affleck knows this better than anyone. He didn't just get discovered. He struggled. He failed. He watched friends fall out of the industry. He saw how luck, timing, looks, and connections matter just as much, if not more, than talent. So when he tells his kids acting is a waste of time, what he's really saying is, I don't want you confusing fame with fulfillment. This is where things get uncomfortable. Affleck's kids are already privileged beyond belief. They don't need acting to escape poverty, get health care, pay rent, be seen or heard. And that matters. Because when kids grow up wealthy and famous, chasing acting can become less about expression and more about validation. Affleck has openly talked about not wanting his kids to grow up thinking, I'm special just because of who my parents are. Acting, especially in Hollywood families, can turn into a shortcut to attention rather than a craft built on discipline. From his perspective, telling them acting is a waste of time is really about saying, go build something real first. Affleck hasn't said his kids can't act. He's said they need education, structure, and perspective first. He wants them to learn how the world actually works, develop skills outside of celebrity, understand effort without instant reward. And that's not anti-art. That's anti-illusion. Because the illusion is this. That fame equals happiness. That success equals meaning. That attention equals worth. Affleck has lived long enough, and publicly enough, to know that's not true. This conversation resonates because it's not really about acting. It's about dreams. Every parent faces this question. Do you support your child's dream, even if the odds are brutal? Do you encourage passion? Or protect them from disappointment? Affleck's approach is controversial because he's choosing protection over fantasy. He's saying, I'd rather you hate me now than resent me later. And that's a very Hollywood thing to say. Critics argue that telling kids acting is a waste of time, discourages creativity, devalues the arts. Sounds dismissive. But context matters. Affleck still makes movies. He still loves storytelling. He still respects the craft. What he's rejecting is the idea that fame should be the goal. Because once fame becomes the goal, the art dies. There's a deep irony here. The people most qualified to warn you about fame are the people who already have it. Affleck knows how addictive validation can be, how damaging public scrutiny is, how fragile identity becomes when it's tied to applause. So when he tells his kids acting is a waste of time, he's not rejecting art. He's rejecting the machine. Maybe the real lesson isn't don't act. Maybe it's this. You are valuable even if nobody's watching. That's a message many kids, especially famous kids, never hear. Affleck wants his children to build self-worth from effort, learning, and resilience. Not from casting calls and red carpets. So is acting a waste of time? No. But chasing fame without foundation might be. Ben Affleck isn't erasing dreams. He's grounding them. And maybe that's what responsible parenting looks like. Especially in a world that tells kids they need to be seen to matter. Because at the end of the day, the most radical thing a famous parent can tell their child is this: you don't need this life to be whole. And coming from Ben Affleck, that might be the most honest role he's ever played.